Hello, this is Moise Jacobs for DeBarra Spoken Word, currently in Belfast, and I am here with JJ Fisher,
Hmm.
aka Jason Fisher. You may have other names, and we are looking forward to having you as a guest on the 8th of December in DeBarra Spoken Word in Clonakilty,
Yeah,
Ireland.
I'm looking
So
forward.
you are in Dublin.
No, I'm based in Cork actually.
You're
So
based in Cork. Oh, I thought you were in Dublin. Sorry. I got it all wrong, but anyway, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, I'm from Texas to make it more confusing, but yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. You were not don't sound like a typical Corkonian. So how did you end up in Cork?
Oh, let's see. I mean, there was a lady many years ago. So
Ah, follow the lady.
yeah, and so that was 2014, and so she was German, so moved from what is it, Texas to Germany, and then relocate to Ireland, and then that relationship didn't work out, but I've been able to stay here and do all kinds of crazy, cool, interesting things in Ireland and have a lot of adventures. So
Well, I noticed that you have sort of reddish hair. Do you have any
mm,
Irish genes?
not that I know of. Well, I mean, that's a stretch because like on my dad's side, there was a great grandmother that was Grandma Kelleher or Keller. So, and she had red hair. So, not officially, but I think a lot of Americans say that they say I'm 1/16th Irish and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's always good.
Yeah.
Better than nothing. I have
Mhm.
nothing. So yeah, and do you how so you've been here since almost 10 years, well, 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah. It,
And do
it,
you feel at home in Ireland?
it took me a long time. Just because like I always had friends and I always, you go out to the pub, you go out to the different events and you meet people, but just my experience was it took a while to really settle in, and then like just to speed it up a little bit, I felt this last year, particularly when there was less restrictions with COVID and there were more events, it was like this go around of being part of the arts community in Ireland and in Cork. It's worked more this time. I've done more shows, I've met more people and old friends connected again. So it's yeah, it took a while, but think I've arrived.
Okay, so you're talking about shows. I like that word because it
Mm,
promises a bit of entertainment, and the few times
sure.
I've seen you, you are entertaining.
Yeah.
Um, are you also a poet who publishes books or who publishes in magazines?
Not yet. The farthest I've gotten with that is when I was getting geared up this year for like, shows and stuff. I haven't published a book, but I thought it was pretty cool. I got some like copies made on thick cardstock, and if you've been to one of my things, it's like a party trick because for one poem, like I'll hand this out to people, you know.
Oh, okay.
So you do a bunch that's just like, moving your hands and moving around the stage and everything. And then you just say, by show of hands, who wants to read along while I do this poem, you know?
Okay.
And that's cool because you get to see people like, their eyes get bigger as they see the rhyme coming and stuff. So it's kind of an interactive thing. So that's as far as I've gone. As I've printed off some stuff on thick paper, but I haven't made like a book yet or anything like that.
So you don't ask them on stage and hypnotize them so they think they're chickens or something like
No, not so much. I do some rap with music oftentimes and freestyle about what's going on in the room, but I don't have any like I don't wear costumes or I don't have anything like too crazy or out there or gimmicky, I guess. But yeah.
But would you call your poetry performance rap always, or do you do different things?
Um, I think it's always influenced by that. So it's like there's a line that's like slided unrequited, I decided to find it, I couldn't hide it, excited. Like it's got that rhythm to it. I feel like I do it that way. And I don't know how to do it any other way than like loud and boisterous and moving my like and like, you know, other poets I know in Cork, particularly, they have that like quiet command of the room. And I think that's a different skill that I don't have so much of. I only know how to do it where I'm just like all over the place and doing this. So.
So how and when did you start doing this rap approach to
Oh,
poetry?
let's see. I mean, I was in a little rap group in college like many years ago, like I don't know,
Okay.
over probably a decade ago. And then Ireland always, even pre-COVID, it was like there were open mic nights like on every corner pretty much, you know. And so that got me kind of thinking about it again and getting the courage to go to like I've done open mic nights in Galway, Cork, Dublin, Belfast, this kind of thing. But yeah.
Would you not have that in Texas?
I mean, I guess there may have been. I wasn't aware of it back then, or it didn't seem so prominent. And like I say, back in 2016, 17, 18 in Ireland, I mean, it was just like every town had 2 or 3 a week, and you just started to network and try out stuff and everything like that. So it kind of pulled it out of me again.
So when did you write your first poem ever?
Oh geez. I'm sure there's a year, I think I would have been like 10, 11, 12. There was a journal you could apply to and pay a fee, and you could just be published. And I remember I wrote some really cheesy Dr. Seuss, like I think under the sink and it's pink or something like that, and it got in there. And so I mean,
And you paid your own fee.
yeah, I think you had to pay to. It was kind of a money making thing where like you paid to enter, and then if they have 1,000 people do that, they make money, and then they print a book or whatever.
Okay, well that's quite entrepreneurial, I think, for a 12-year-old.
Oh, who knows how I came across it, but I had a little tiny poem, wasn't very good, but that would probably be the first thing.
And how did you earn the 10 euros pocket money?
I think way back then, probably a pocket money or mowing lawns or something like that.
Okay, so where in Texas did you grow up?
Well, that's a that's a misnomer too, because like I was born in Austin, but my dad was in the Air Force, so that means that I did grow up partly in Texas, but I also lived in California and North Carolina and New Mexico and all over. I actually lived in Japan when I was young. So,
and so did that have an effect on you, that kind of traveling around and being uprooted all the time, I think?
I'd say so. I mean, it's a little cliche, but military kids, I mean, if you move every 2 or 3 years, you generally have to get to a new school and a new community and make friends pretty quick, and you got to survive, and you got to just like get into another friend group. So
okay, does it have any effect on your current poetry
um
demeanor?
I don't know. Yeah,
I do think you sort of work a room. You come into the room and know how to connect.
Yeah, and I always have a question about like how much of that is wanting to be seen, right? I mean, so I don't know. As long as I prepared for a show, like I'm never nervous, right? And so I like when people have stage fright, I don't get it, because if you've practiced your poem, I love that interaction and looking people in the eye and just to see the effect of the work, and then they go, oh damn, so like I love that kind of stuff. So I don't know, just being outgoing in general, I guess, is part of it.
So is there also a very introverted side to you?
Yeah, I mean, this doing gigs and being on a stage is where I can just let it all out. And then I'm not so much like that. Like if you see me at a poetry event, like not performing, I'll just kind of be in the corner, and I'll still talk to people, but I'm a lot more chill.
But you're not shy.
Not really, no. I want to meet
And
people.
Sorry?
I just want to meet, like, especially when you're at a gig, I want to like meet people in the community and how they do it. And so, yeah, I'm not too shy.
Okay. And the whole rap thing, I mean, do you regard rap as a very general art, or is it like a Black African American art, or is there an element of cultural appropriation here, or is it just totally normal to apply it to in any place at any time?
Well, I mean, it has its roots in the States and that culture, but I think that once you export it, then kind of the techniques and the art form, you can just I find it interesting. You can drop it off in Ireland, you can drop it off in France, you can drop it off in Britain, and you just let like 10, 15, 20 years go by, and you get all these like genres. So like in the UK, there's grime, and then there's a whole scene of Irish rap that I would not have been aware was really a thing when I was in the States, but when you live here, you're like, oh, okay, and you see that. So I mean, like I say, it started in America, it has that long history there, but then it's one of the most popular like music forms in the world, and then it goes everywhere. So I don't know, I don't think it's cultural appropriation. I think every nation and community has its own expression of rap and of hip hop, I would say.
Okay, and so who are you in contact with? Any Irish rappers at the moment, or are you people you follow or you recommend, for example?
I mean, I know some. I mean, there's a guy named Trigger from Cork.
Gary Thompson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's someone. It's crazy because when I first moved to Ireland, he had an album release show, and like
Yeah, the what? Sorry.
he was releasing one of his CDs,
Okay.
like an album. And
Yeah.
that was my introduction to like Irish hip hop, because I was like, I didn't know they really like there was a lot of rap here. And so I
Okay.
went, and that was pretty cool as an American to go see like a hip hop show in Ireland. And I was like,
Okay.
that's pretty cool. So yeah.
And
But yeah, I mean, I know him decently well over the years. And
so would you consider Irish rap, could you say how it distinguishes from American rap?
well, I mean, but there's a big debate in the community too about like accents and stuff, you know, and I'm kind of like, I don't consider myself like really Irish. I lived here many years, but I don't have an accent, and I'm still trying to understand the history and the culture. I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of talking about the same things about like where you're growing up and the struggles you face and the struggles in your community. Kind of as a brief aside, I always thought it was interesting. It's my understanding in the Irish rap community, there's kind of a controversy whether you should like keep your native accent or if you should adopt a more like neutral, maybe even American one. And I
Okay.
think, and I've heard through the years that some people say, oh no, you rap in the accent that you like grew up in whatever town. And then some people would say, well, you'll reach more ears if you like mute your accent, I guess.
But I mean, and as for you, does you know, because if you grow up in different places, then different places in America, even you'd have different accents in the different places. There
Sure.
would be a specifically Texas cliche
Sure.
accent.
Yeah. I moved enough where I think mine's pretty neutral, but I know what you mean. There's Southern hip hop and there's East Coast and West Coast and stuff like that. Sure.
Would you be so kind as to maybe give a small demonstration of what we can expect from you? Is that possible, or is that too much to ask? You know, just
Sure. Yeah. I've got my safety net here. So that's
okay.
my words by JJF. So I'll do. That's interesting. I was curious if that was going to be asked of me, but all right.
It's pretty mild, actually.
Okay.
Could be more words.
But I'll do a piece called Diamond Shine.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I'll just give you the speaker.
Cool. All right. This piece is called Diamond Shine. Most are, for the most part, complacent. Look at their eyes, so vacant. They won't understand how to generate a genesis. They'll just want to stand somehow art adjacent, seeing what leaks from the hands and heart of Jason, because my name is Jason J. Fisher. All I want is to write with such insight, the words are considered scripture. Go out at night chasing the light to free stars which flicker in a picture. Because I was stressing, then guessing, now assessing that the absolute best thing is when it's all coalescing into the next thing, the correct thing. But back then, my thoughts were often scattered, lost within lots of plots, but without chapters, carefully considering how it all stops and are there hereafters. Because right now, we're here. But what about after? And I find, if you find the time to mind your mind, then mind your mind. You'll find you can redesign your mind, refine your mind. Then compressed carbon hardens, realigns into 100% pure, unadulterated, crystalline diamond.
Thank you. That was a starry night. Did you? Have you ever come across a poet called Massimo Lavelle?
I have not heard that name. No.
Okay, because one of the nice things that when COVID started and we had lockdowns is that we went on Zoom, wholly on Zoom. every month, and we attracted quite an international audience, not so a huge audience, but international, and also quite a few people from the States, and one of them was Massimo. But I don't know if he still does that, because he might have gone live also, but he did go to the Ovale Zoom sessions, and he has a bit, your style is a bit reminiscent of him.
Is he from Philadelphia?
He is, yes.
I did see him. He's great. Yeah, I saw him.
He is really good.
Yeah, at Ovale. He's still doing on Ovale on the Zoom. Still.
Yeah. So, but you haven't come across, you haven't really been influenced by him or interacted with him or whatever.
I haven't spoken to him directly. I've just seen him perform a handful of times at Ovale.
Okay. And are there any other people that you would think are role models?
It's interesting because, like, I don't actually read a lot of poetry, like, as a matter of interest, right? It's more musicians, and then I guess I've got I always say this, but I always shout out, there's little stuff that you find that's so impactful so like there's a local poet named Niall Hearn, an Irish guy, and like he has a poem called Make, and like, I don't know, I read it like 2 or 3 times a week. It's one of the best things I've ever read. And you would say, well, it's a not super famous poet, but like that poem carried me a lot this year. And it's about like, whatever you can make, whatever you can do it. And that really
would you like to read it?
Sure. I read
Niall Hearn or Niall Heron?
It's Niall, like Niall.
Yeah.
Niall Hearn. So
Hearn.
Yeah. But yeah.
So how would you spell his last name?
Oh, Hearne.
Hearn. Okay, Niall Hearn. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll read. It's a short one.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Make. Whatever you make. Whatever you can add. Do it. Drown in yourself. Learning to breathe again is easy. Drown to the beat of your new heart's delight. Smile at your soul and pray for it to once again take its toll. For nothing here is free. Nothing good is too easy. Lessons learnt are learnt, and lessons earned are earned. These letters I wrote, then dried, then burnt.
Great. Okay.
So yeah, I don't have like huge literary influences, but it's just a lot of like underground rappers that I listened to when I was younger, and then when you stumble across stuff like that, you know.
Okay, well, thank you. We're almost at the end of our interview. What do you have anything in mind specifically for Clonakilty?
I got lucky enough. I bought a new beat from an American beat maker, and I haven't like performed the song yet, like public, and so because I need it to be on speakers and have a mic, so I'm gonna premiere like a new song with a.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And you will take all the equipment with you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. For us, that's good. Okay, thank you very much. I really look forward to your performance on the 8th of December, and I am now going to stop recording.